She was treated like a disposable object, a breeding machine, whose only purpose was to make money for her owner. When she could no longer produce puppies, she became useless to him. She was nothing but skin and bones, her body covered in a painful skin disease. Although she was still a young dog, probably only 3 or 4 years old, the harsh life of overbreeding and neglect made her look like an old, broken animal. Her owner had decided he was done with her. He planned to sell her to the dog meat trade because he knew that only those buyers would pay a high price for a dog in such terrible condition. He wanted to squeeze every last bit of value out of her, even if it meant sending her to her death. The rescue team rushed over the moment they heard about her situation. Seeing her in that state was truly heartbreaking for everyone. She was tied up in the yard, just as she had been all year round, through the freezing rain and the scorching sun. She had never known the comfort of a soft bed or a kind touch. She didn't even have a proper bowl to eat from. When she was thirsty, her only option was to drink filthy rainwater that had collected in an old, discarded tire nearby. Dead leaves and green moss were floating in the water, but she had no other choice. It was infuriating to see a living creature treated with such cruelty. Yet, despite all of this, when she saw the rescuers approaching, this gentle soul still wagged her tail. She looked at them with a submissive, pleading expression that seemed to be a silent cry for help. The rescuer immediately offered to adopt the dog and take her away from this misery, but the owner instantly refused. He didn't care about her well-being, he only cared about the profit. He insisted that they would have to pay a high price if they wanted to take her. The rescuers were furious. They tried to reason with the man, explaining that she was sick and needed help. They reminded him that she had already brought him a lot of profit. Over the years, by producing puppies that he sold for money, she had suffered the pain of being separated from her babies over and over again, but the owner ignored everything they said. He was cold and greedy. He insisted on his price, or else she would be sold to the butcher. The rescuer, a man who had been saving animals for years, felt a mix of deep sorrow and burning rage inside. He had witnessed far too much human cruelty in his life, but this was especially hard to swallow. To the owner, years of companionship meant absolutely nothing. To the dog, this man was her family, but to him, she was just a broken tool. The negotiations stalled as the owner talked about nothing but money. But looking at her pitiful physical condition, the rescuer knew he couldn't leave her there. He started bargaining, determined to save her no matter what. He knew that if he walked away, she would be killed. Finally, after a tense back and forth, they agreed on a price. Now came the hard part: raising the money. Years of running rescues had already drained the man financially. Every time he saved a mistreated dog, it cost a large sum, not just for the rescue itself, but for the expensive medical treatment and care that followed. He never took a cent when the dogs were adopted later. He did it all out of love. Although kind people donated to his rescue group, there were always more dogs needing help. He scrambled to pull the funds together, and finally, he had enough. It seemed like the dog understood what was happening. She sat there quietly, staring at him with her big, sad eyes. She took one last sip of that filthy, bitter rainwater from the tire, as if she knew it was time to say goodbye to this hell forever. The owner impatiently urged the rescuer to pay. The rescuer pulled out his phone and made the transfer. The moment the money went through, she was finally free. The rescuer led her away from the only home she had known, which had been a prison for her. She arrived at a new temporary home to start a brand new life. The first thing she received was a bowl of cooked chicken and dog food. It might have been the first real, delicious meal she had ever eaten in her entire life. She couldn't wait and devoured it eagerly. But then, something beautiful happened. When the man reached out to pet her, she paused her eating. She knew she had been saved, and she knew this was the man who did it. She leaned her head into his gentle touch. It was the only way she knew how to say thank you. She quickly adapted to her new environment. Years of hunger had left her severely underweight, and she looked very fragile. She had given everything she had to her former owner, and he had taken everything from her. Luckily, the initial checkup showed that her health had no other major issues besides the malnutrition and skin problems. With good care, she would recover. The man started the long process of cleaning her up. He shaved off her matted, dirty fur, which revealed just how many ticks and parasite eggs were hiding underneath. Removing all of that filth allowed her skin to finally breathe. Keeping her skin dry and clean would be the key to treating her disease. After all that work, the man was drenched in sweat, but he didn't stop. He gave her a nice warm bath. She was so dirty that the water instantly turned dark gray. He scrubbed her gently, washing away the years of neglect. After the bath, he gave her a round of external deworming medication and sprayed a special medicine on her body to help heal her skin. She was such a good girl through it all, standing still and letting him help her. She did such a great job that it was time for another treat. However, the vet had warned that she shouldn't eat too much at once because her stomach wasn't used to plenty of food. So, she had to eat small, nutritious meals more often. This is just the beginning of her healing journey, but for the first time in her life, she is safe, clean, and loved.